The ballroom of the Grand Arcadia Hotel glittered like a diamond cage. Chandeliers dripped with light, violins whispered across the air, and laughter floated on the scent of champagne and roses. Evelyn heart tugged at the hem of her emerald dress, trying to look like she belonged among the sea of designer gowns and perfectly sculpted faces. She didn't. She was here for her best friend, Alina Park, who was finally marrying the love of her life, a fairy tale ending Evelyn had never believed in. As a financial advisor, she trusted numbers, not emotions. Love was unpredictable, dangerous, and profitable. But then he walked in. Maddox Park, the bride's older brother. The one Alina never spoke about in detail, the shadow that trailed the family name. He moved through the crowd with a slow, commanding stride, the kind that made men step aside and women forget how to breathe. His tailored black suit didn't hide the strength in his shoulders or the faint scar running from his jaw to his neck. Power clung to him like a second skin, and the air itself seemed to bend when his dark eyes found hers. Evelyn froze. For a heartbeat, she forgot everything, her cynicism, her logic, her breath. He was devastatingly beautiful in the most dangerous way imaginable. Then he smirked, as if he already knew what she was thinking. Evelyn Hart, a deep voice murmured behind her. She turned and found Maddox standing impossibly close. He smelled like smoke and expensive whiskey, his tie loosened as though rules meant nothing to him. "You know my name?" she managed, hating that her voice trembled. "I make it my business to know everything that walks into my sister's life," he said, his tone smooth but edged. "And that includes her best friend, who looks like she's about to run from her own shadow." "I'm not running," she said, straightening. "Good," he said, leaning closer until his breath grazed her ear. "Because I don't chase. I take." Her pulse tripped. "Excuse me?" He smiled faintly, the kind that didn't reach his eyes. "Relax, Evelyn. I just mean enjoy the party. You might find more than love here tonight." Before she could reply, he was gone, pulled into a crowd of sharp suits and cold eyes. But something about them made her uneasy. They didn't look like ordinary guests. They looked like men who carried secrets under their cufflinks. Later that night, after the bouquet had been tossed and the laughter dimmed, Evelyn stepped outside for air. The gardens were quiet, the fountain whispering under moonlight. She pulled out her phone to check her messages, until a pair of headlights cut across the darkness. A black car. Tinted windows. It stopped right in front of her. Her heart kicked. The door opened, and Maddox stepped out, jacket gone, shirt sleeves rolled up, tattoos curling along his forearm like coiled smoke. "Get in," he said. "Excuse me?" "There's something you need to see." His voice was low, almost warning. "And trust me, you'll want to see it before anyone else does." She hesitated, her rational mind screaming no. But something about the way he looked at her, half threat, half promise, made her hand tremble toward the door handle. As she slid inside, she caught the faint glint of a gun beside his seat. "Maddox," she whispered, "what are you mixed up in?" He looked at her then, eyes dark and burning. "You don't want the answer to that, Evelyn." "Not yet." The car pulled away from the hotel, swallowing the night, and Evelyn's safe, predictable life with it. The city lights blurred past as the car sped through the streets, weaving between the late-night traffic. Evelyn's pulse thudded against her ribs in rhythm with every turn. She sat stiffly in the leather seat, the smell of Maddox's cologne, a heady mix of smoke, cedar, and sin, filling the space between them. He hadn't said a word since they left the hotel. The silence pressed down on her until she finally snapped. "Where are you taking me?" Maddox's jaw tightened, eyes on the road. "Somewhere safe." "Safe from what?" He exhaled through his nose, low and deliberate. "From people who think you've seen too much." Her brows drew together. "I was at a wedding, Maddox. The most I saw were drunk groomsmen and bad dance moves." His lips twitched, not quite a smile. "You think this is about a wedding?" The car stopped abruptly on the edge of the docks, dark, quiet, and far from the glittering hotel. Waves slapped against the wood, the night humming with the scent of salt and metal. Maddox stepped out, motioning for her to follow.
Come on.
I'll explain. Evelyn hesitated, looking from the shadows to the man in front of her. Every instinct screamed run. But curiosity, or maybe something far more dangerous, made her move. Inside an abandoned warehouse, the flickering lights cast long, crooked shadows across crates and steel beams. Maddox picked up a folder from a metal table and slid it toward her. She opened it and froze. Photos. Surveillance images. Of her. Leaving her office, her apartment, even jogging in the park. "What the hell is this?" she demanded. "Someone's been watching you," he said simply. "For weeks." "That's not possible." "It's very possible." His gaze was cold, unreadable. "You're Alina's best friend. Which means you were an easy target." "Target for what?" "For me." Her stomach dropped. "You?" He nodded once. "Someone's trying to use you to get to me. My family's enemies don't go after us directly anymore. They go after people we care about." Her throat tightened. "You think I'm bait?" "I know you are." His voice softened slightly. "That's why I took you before they could." Evelyn stared at him, disbelief flooding her chest. "So, you kidnapped me to protect me?" He gave a small, humorless smile. "Funny how that sounds, huh?" She threw the folder at him. "You're insane. You should have called the police." Maddox stepped closer, his presence swallowing the space between them. "The police?" His tone darkened. "Half of them are bought by the same people who ordered your surveillance. You think I'd hand you over to them?" Her breath hitched. "Who are you, Maddox?" For a moment, silence stretched. Heavy, dangerous. Then he said it. "I'm not just Alina's brother. I'm the head of the Park Syndicate." Evelyn's knees nearly buckled. "You're what? Mafia?" He met her gaze steadily. "I prefer businessman."
But yes.
"A dangerous one." She took a shaky step back. "You dragged me into this. You put me in danger."
"I saved you," he snapped. His voice was sharp, raw.
"If I hadn't, you'd already be dead, Evelyn." Something in his tone made her stop. For the first time, she saw something behind the steel in his eyes. Fear. Not for himself, but for her. "You don't even know me," she whispered. "Don't I?" His voice lowered, rough and intimate. "I've watched you for months. Every time you met Alina, every time you smiled. You think I didn't notice the way you look at the world, like it owes you answers? You think I didn't know that one day you'd walk straight into my life?" Her heart raced. "That's insane." He stepped closer, until their breath mingled. "Maybe. But insanity is all I have left." Evelyn swallowed, torn between fear and something else, something that felt too much like attraction. Then, a gunshot shattered the air. The sound echoed through the warehouse, sharp and deadly. Maddox spun around, pulling her behind a crate. "Stay down," he hissed. She ducked, trembling as footsteps approached. Shadows moved outside the broken window. Men with guns, their voices cold and foreign. "Find the girl." Maddox's hand tightened on her arm. "They followed us." Her eyes widened. "What do we do?" He cocked his gun, eyes glinting in the dim light. "We fight." The first bullet hit the wall near her head. She screamed, ducking lower. Maddox returned fire, his movements fast, precise, terrifyingly skilled. In that moment, Evelyn realized this wasn't just a man in a suit. He was a weapon. And she was standing in the middle of a war she didn't understand. When the last of the attackers fled, the warehouse fell silent again. Maddox turned to her, chest heaving, blood trickling from a scrape on his arm. Evelyn reached out before she could stop herself. "You're hurt." He caught her hand midair, eyes locking on hers. "Don't look at me like that." "Like what?" she whispered. "Like you're starting to care."
Her pulse faltered.
"Maybe I am." He stared at her for a long moment, then pulled her closer until her palms rested on his chest. "Then you're in more danger than you think, Evelyn Hart." The safe house was nothing like Evelyn expected. No chandeliers, no luxury, just concrete walls, the smell of rain, and a single light bulb that flickered like it was scared to stay on. Maddox locked the door behind them and checked the windows. His movements were quick, efficient, like a man who'd done this far too many times. Evelyn stood frozen, her heart still trying to slow after the gunfire. "You should sit," he said. "I'm fine. You're shaking." "I said I'm fine," she snapped, hugging her arms around herself. He turned, eyes narrowing slightly. "You don't have to be brave right now." "I'm not being brave," she whispered. "I'm just trying to understand how my best friend's wedding turned into this." For the first time, his expression softened. "I didn't want you involved." "Too late," she muttered. He sighed and moved to the small kitchen, running a hand through his hair. "You want something warm?" "Coffee." Evelyn almost laughed. "You kidnapped me, get me shot at, and now you want to make coffee?" He gave a ghost of a smile. "I'm not heartless." Could have fooled me. Their eyes met, hers sharp and defiant, his unreadable, and something shifted in the air. The tension that had been born of fear now hummed with something else entirely. Hours passed. Rain pattered softly against the window. Evelyn sat curled on the couch, wearing one of Maddox's black shirts, oversized and smelling faintly of him. He sat across from her, cleaning his gun with precise, silent movements. She finally spoke. "You said they were after me because of you. Why?" He didn't look up. "Because they think you're my weakness." "Are you saying I am?" He met her eyes then, and she wished he hadn't. The way he looked at her, intense, searching, made her chest ache. "You shouldn't be." "But I am," she said softly. "Aren't I?" Maddox set the gun down. The sound echoed between them. "You don't know what you're saying." "I think I do." He stood, crossing the small space in 2 strides. The air between them crackled as he stopped inches away. "You think this is some fairy tale? That I'm just a damaged man who needs saving?" "No," she whispered, her pulse racing. "I think you're a man who doesn't believe he deserves to be." His breath hitched. For a second, she saw the cracks in his armor. The weariness, the guilt, the loneliness he kept hidden behind command and control. "You're dangerous, Maddox. I told you that the first night. Then why does it feel like you're the only place I'm safe?" Something broke between them then. Maddox reached for her, slow at first, as if giving her a chance to stop him. She didn't. His fingers brushed her jaw, tracing the tremor in her skin. Evelyn's breath caught as he tilted her face up, his thumb resting against her lower lip. "You don't know what you're asking for," he murmured. "Then show me," she breathed. He hesitated just a heartbeat longer, then kissed her. It wasn't gentle. It was desperate, hungry, like a man fighting against everything he'd sworn never to want. She melted into him, her hands tangling in his hair, the world outside dissolving into rain and shadows. When they finally broke apart, both were trembling. "This shouldn't have happened," Maddox said hoarsely, forehead against hers. "Then why did it feel like it was supposed to?" He closed his eyes, torn. "Because you make me forget what I am." "And what are you?" He opened his eyes. "A man who destroys everything he touches." She touched his chest, right over his heart. "Then maybe you just need someone who refuses to break." The knock came like thunder. 3 sharp raps against the door. Maddox froze instantly, every muscle going taut. "Stay here," he whispered, grabbing his gun. "Maddox." He silenced her with a look, then moved toward the door. Evelyn's heart hammered as she heard muffled voices, a man's deep, accented tone, and then the sound of wood splintering. The door flew open. Maddox shouted her name. "Evelyn, run." She didn't think. She ran toward the back hallway, the sound of gunfire exploding behind her. Her world spun into chaos once more, love, danger, and fate all tangled together in the dark. Evelyn's heart pounded like a drum in her chest as she ran through the labyrinthine hallways of the safe house. Every instinct screamed, "Don't look back," but she couldn't stop the fear gnawing at her. Behind her, muffled shouts and the sharp smell of gunpowder told her that Maddox was in the middle of something she couldn't yet understand. A hand grabbed her arm. She spun, but it wasn't Maddox. 2 masked men shoved her into a van. The door slammed shut, the engine roaring as the vehicle sped away. "Let me go," Evelyn screamed, struggling against the ropes binding her wrists. "You shouldn't have come with him," a gravelly voice said from the shadows. Her stomach sank. They were after Maddox. And now me. Hours later, she woke in a dimly lit room, the only sound the hum of a ceiling fan. Her wrists throbbed where the ropes had been tightened. Panic set in as she realized just how alone she was. The door creaked open. One of the men stepped in, leaning casually against the frame. "Your boyfriend's not coming to save you this time." Evelyn swallowed hard. "You don't know who I am. You don't know what you've done." He smiled faintly, sharp and cruel. "I do. And I know exactly why your disappearance will hurt him." Her stomach twisted. Maddox. He'd come for her. He'd risk everything. Outside, Maddox's black car tore through the city streets. Every red light, every pedestrian, every curve of the road seemed to blur past him. His mind was singularly focused. Get Evelyn back. He ignored the calls from his syndicate lieutenant. He ignored the warnings. All that mattered was the soft memory of her hair against his palm, her pulse racing against him, the warmth she left in his chest. "She's mine," he thought, teeth clenched. "No one touches her." Back in the room, Evelyn sat huddled in the corner, her mind racing. She replayed every interaction with Maddox since the wedding, the way he had saved her, the dangerous intensity in his eyes, the unexpected tenderness beneath his iron exterior. Her chest tightened as a new fear crept in. What if he couldn't save her? The door slammed open again. Maddox stepped inside this time. Evelyn froze. Her heart skipped. He wasn't wearing a suit now, just a black shirt and jeans, his sleeves rolled up, tattoos visible in the flickering light. His gun was drawn, and his gaze burned into her. "Evelyn," he said softly, "are you okay?" Tears pricked her eyes. I'm scared." He took a cautious step forward. "I know." The ropes were cut, and he pulled her into his arms. She clung to him, as if letting go meant losing her entire world. "You can't keep doing this," she whispered. "You can't keep putting yourself in danger for me." "I don't care," he murmured, pressing his forehead to hers. "I can't lose you. Not like this. Not ever." Their lips met, not rushed, not desperate, but consuming, fiery, and full of all the emotions they had tried to deny: fear, longing, relief, and something dangerously like love. The fight wasn't over. Gunfire erupted outside. Maddox's grip on her tightened. "Stay behind me," he ordered, voice low and deadly. Evelyn's pulse raced, not from fear alone. From the moment he pulled her close, she knew the truth. She had been captivated by Maddox Park, dangerous, ruthless, impossibly magnetic, and she had no intention of fighting it anymore. He looked down at her, his eyes dark, intense, and raw. "You belong with me, Evelyn. No one else, understand?" She nodded, her heart pounding. I belong to you." The city outside might have been chaos, bullets and threats, but in that small, flickering room, everything else disappeared. For the first time in her life, Evelyn realized that danger didn't always destroy. You could survive it, and sometimes it could make you want the man who haunted your every thought. The city trembled beneath them, lights flickering, sirens wailing in the distance, the faint smell of rain and smoke in the air. Evelyn's hands shook as she clutched Maddox's jacket, her head resting against his chest. I can't believe this is real," she whispered, her voice breaking. "All of it, you mean the danger." He pressed his forehead to hers, his voice low and unshakable. "It's real, Evelyn. Every damn part of it. You're mine. And I'm never letting you go." Her breath caught. "I'm scared, Maddox. I thought I could handle danger, control everything, but I didn't know I'd fall like this. For you." "You weren't supposed to," he murmured. "You were supposed to leave, go back to your life, and pretend none of this ever happened. But you didn't. You stayed." She looked up at him, eyes glistening with unshed tears. I don't want to go back." He smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Good. Because neither do I." The sound of engines outside pulled their attention. Maddox's eyes darkened as he scanned the street below. "They're here," he growled. Evelyn stiffened.
Who?
"People who thought they could hurt you or me." Before she could react, a black SUV screeched around the corner. Maddox's hand gripped hers. "Stay close. Trust me." Bullets shattered the air. Glass exploded around them as Maddox moved with lethal precision, protecting her with every movement. Evelyn ducked behind him, heart hammering, not just from fear, but from the raw intensity of being this close to him. When the last attacker fled, Maddox finally exhaled, his arm wrapped tightly around her. "Are you hurt?" "No, thanks to you," she whispered. "You don't understand," he said, voice rough. "Every time someone tries to take you from me, I realize I can't live without you. I can't lose you again." Her lips trembled. "Then don't. Don't ever leave me." He captured her mouth in a kiss, deep, consuming, and charged with every fear, desire, and emotion they had bottled up since the wedding. She melted into him, hands clutching his shoulders, heart beating in sync with his. Later, safe in the high-rise apartment overlooking the city lights, Evelyn sat on his lap, resting against him, still trembling. "Why did you save me?" she asked quietly. "Why risk everything for someone you barely knew?" Maddox held her face gently. "Because from the moment I saw you, I knew. You weren't just someone to protect. You were someone I needed. Someone I love." Her chest tightened. "Love." "Yes," he said, eyes softening.
Love.
Dangerous, reckless, unstoppable love. She leaned into him, finally letting herself believe it. "Then I love you too." He smiled, brushing his lips across her temple. "Good. Because nothing else matters. Not enemies, not danger, not the world. You and me, we're everything." The morning light crept across the skyline, bathing the city in gold. Evelyn and Maddox watched it together, hearts beating as one. The chaos of the world still existed outside, but inside this apartment, they had found something rare: safety, trust, and a love forged in fire. She rested her head against him, letting herself finally surrender. "So, what now?" He kissed her hair, low and promising.
Now?
"Now we face everything together. And nothing, I mean nothing, will ever take you from me again." For the first time, Evelyn didn't fear the danger, the Mafia, or the chaos. She feared nothing, except the moment she might ever have to be without him.
And she never would be.